Chanelle, how are you?
Fine, thanks, and you?
I'm doing very good. We were laughing about a whole bunch of fun stuff now,
Indeed.
and you used to work in this office.
Yes.
So that is fantastic.
It's
I've
like a
heard
welcome
about you.
home.
Yeah, well, at least I've heard about your company. I can't remember if they were being nice or not, but
Of course we were.
Yeah, of course. No, of
I mean,
course
we
you
were all woman-owned law firm. What could we possibly get up to?
What could possibly go wrong?
What could the body corporate possibly have to complain about?
Were you kicked out?
Well, let's just say we voluntarily moved.
Right, volunteer.
down the
Okay,
hall.
yeah. So it was like a mutual separation.
A voluntary eviction.
Nice. All right, you are a lawyer.
Well, actually, I'm an attorney.
An
you
attorney.
can say lawyer,
Oh,
but
goodness. Okay, yeah,
I mean,
I'm
hopefully
getting
we
it
get to the
wrong.
stage where I can explain to you
Yes.
how I'm not a lawyer.
Okay, all right. So you are an attorney.
Yes.
And I think, like we just said just now, we just need to state to everybody watching that what we are doing today is not legal advice.
Yes.
It's opinions and cannot be
Relied
used or
upon.
relied upon or anything like that.
Yes.
I think it's just save you, the heartache or the headache.
Yeah, I agree, because every case, and this is such a lawyer line, but every case is taken on its own merits.
Absolutely.
And due to my experience and obviously the relevant case law and legislation applicable, so this is not a one-fits-all situation.
100%.
Anything I give now will be based on, what I have on me in my mental suitcase
Yes.
and experience.
Nice.
And
So
I'll
it'll
just
all be fictitious.
Yeah.
And
And I'll be speaking off the cuff and shooting from the hip a bit.
We'll give advice to old Frikkie.
Exactly. Bring it on.
My mullet-toting, wife-beater-wearing,
He definitely
Benoni
needs
boy. Although sometimes I look at Brackenfell nowadays, I'm like, there's a few of those
Well, I
legs
mean, I
walking
live in
around.
Paro, so everybody's like,
Yes.
oh, yes, a Paro Macy. And I'm like,
There we go.
I don't know what that means, but yes.
Yeah.
The connotations aren't too good, but
I've looked at Para. There's some areas that are getting really nice now.
I know.
So I've got a couple of clients sort of that live that side. So I've been to their
Yeah, like
houses.
Paro North is
Yeah.
very nice. Like where the circle is, that's where I run and like dream. Of the houses. Picture
Yeah.
myself in which house I want to
There
buy.
we go. I drove through the top end of Pluttercliff. Oh. And as I came, there's this one road that comes around, and as you come around the road, and Table Mountain just appears.
I know.
And it's this whole valley and all the houses. You can see like all the houses and stuff, and then it's just Table Mountain in the background.
Oh, wow. And there's like these huge parks in between as well, and little duck ponds. And
Yeah. I was
I
just
run
like,
there sometimes.
that is a view that my wife would want.
I mean, can you imagine after work just like chilling there,
Oh yeah.
talking, drinking an ice
Yeah,
cold
on
beer?
your balcony.
That's worth like
Yeah.
300K a month, surely.
Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, you earn lots of money. I mean,
The beer will be like a black label, though. Of course,
What?
Zamalek.
I'm trying to think where we can go. Let's start with the difference between a lawyer and an advocate, because
Okay.
I, to be fair, don't know the difference.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, if someone put me on the spot right now, it would be, I don't know.
Exactly.
I don't know. I know
it
there's
is-
different types of lawyers.
Yeah.
I know there's like lawyers that go to courts, and I know
Mhm.
there's lawyers that don't go to courts, and I know there's lawyers that do property, and some that do.
And there's rich lawyers and there's poor lawyers.
Yes, as with every industry, and like there's guys that go and do tribunal stuff, and others that don't, and so
Well, that's the good thing about like having an LLB or a BCom law. It's like you can literally do anything you like. And that's why I'm actually glad to be here today, because I'm one of those people who did like a 360,
Yeah.
So, and it's awesome. So let's start there. So first of all, even my parents get it wrong. They always like, oh, my daughter's a lawyer. And I'm like, Mom, you
Sounds
sound like
fancy.
such an idiot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, don't say that. So a lawyer.
But she only sounds like an idiot to like you and your
I
friends.
know,
right?
to lawyers.
Right, yes. Yeah. To the rest of us, they're like, oh yeah, really?
Wow. So a lawyer is somebody who is like educated in the law, like holds a legal qualification. So that could be LLB, that could even be like a paralegal diploma, for like, argument's sake.
What's an LLB?
So an LLB is a Bachelor of Laws.
Okay.
There's a fancy Latin name like a baccalaureus, blah, 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 blah. I don't know what. I mean, I didn't have to answer that question in an exam. But it'll be on Google. And so LLB is the main legal specification. It's an honors degree, 4-year degree, offered at multiple universities. You can also do BCom, specialize in law, BA, specialize in law. And so that is a legal qualification. Once you have done your however many years, I did an LLB, that's 4 years. Once I finished my LLB, then you need to decide, okay, am I going to go and work at LegalWise and just be a, call center, answer the phone, or do I want to actually practice as an attorney? So, or an advocate. So then what you need to do is do your, all fearful bar exams.
Yes.
You choose, okay, I want to be an attorney who is practicing or non-practicing. Practicing means you go to court. You are qualified. You are cloaked. That's why you also wear a robe.
Okay, we see those guys.
Yes. I do that as well. So you are a practicing attorney is cloaked with the authority to appear on behalf of another person. That's why you wear that cloak, to show that you're not appearing for yourself. You are clothed in the authority and the mandate to act on behalf of someone. Criminal proceedings, normally the guilty one in the box.
Sure.
Civil.
Well, they're not guilty. Come on. I mean, is it...
it's innocent until... Well, this is South Africa. It's actually guilty until proven innocent,
Okay. Personal opinion.
Yes. So, attorney is somebody who can take instructions straight from the public. You have to practice as a firm. You can practice as a one-man firm or as a bunch of attorneys in a firm.
Sure.
Take instructions from the public. You have a trust account. Practicing litigation, you're in court and having an absolute ball.
I knew what litigation was.
Well done.
I knew what litigation was.
It's way more fun in Afrikaans.
That's Denny Crane.
Oh, yeah.
That's Denny Crane. And that other bro from Suits.
Oh, I know.
Harvey whatever. The girls like him.
They love him. I like Mike, though. He's cute.
Really?
Yeah, even though
but he was breaking the law.
I know, but it was his passion. He was really good at it.
Yeah, that's a slippery slope.
I mean...
I know a lot of people that have passions that they...
I mean, didn't he eventually become legit anyway? I didn't watch the end of the series. Like, I worked too hard to watch TV.
Yeah, so he got put in jail, and then they somehow got him out, and then somehow he managed to get through the bar and all that nonsense.
Through Harvard?
I don't know, through somewhere.
Oh, God.
But, it was like, I don't know. I looked at that. I was like, this is not the real world. Yeah. This is not how it will work.
No.
Ever.
No.
Not even in South Africa.
No, not even in South Africa.
And where maybe the rules are a little lax.
So then you have the other side of the spectrum, which are advocates.
Yes.
Now, you get advocates who work for the Cape Bar Association, and then you get advocates that are independents.
Right.
So, sorry, I'm going to grab some water.
Go for it.
Have like a
butter in your kill.
And I'm recovering from like that strain everybody has.
Yes, yeah.
So,
nice. Can we just move it
yes,
there?
Of course.
That was perfect.
So, advocates traditionally could not take instructions directly from the public.
Okay.
It would be
can I get you to move over just a touch? I want just your mouth was just line up with the mic.
Okay, cool.
Perfect. Yes.
So advocates traditionally could not take instructions from the public.
Yes.
You would come to me, an attorney, and say, listen, this is my problem. Then I would assess the facts and be like, oh shit, I don't have the specs or the equipment to professionally deal with this. Then I would go to an advocate and say, yo, Mr. Advocate who sits in your fancy office all day and, where attorneys have like this many files just like hustling, advocates have the time and they can get paid to specialize.
Right.
So they are specialized litigation or they're litigation specialists and they mostly litigate in the high courts, Supreme Courts, constitutional courts, all of that. So their volume is traditionally less than that of attorneys.
Yeah.
And they are litigation specialists. Where attorneys, as you said, you get non-practicing, practicing, you get labor law attorneys, property attorneys. I've met
a few of those labor law guys.
Yes, they're the ones who go to CCMA. Oh, my word.
Different breed, eh?
Yeah, that is next level. I've done a couple of arbitrations myself, and I must say, I walked out of there like just wanting to give up my robe. I was like, I'm done.
They're animals.
It is.
And
it's like they just make it up as they go along.
Yeah, and the thing is, they make it up as they go along, and then they convince the person sitting there adjudicating, the arbitrator or whatever. Like I had a case long time ago where I was unjustly fired, so I went to CCMA.
Unfair dismissal.
And the guys that I went up against, they were like, they delayed and they were like, oh yeah, we can't be there on this date because it was December, and like, so-and-so's
that sounds like something I would say.
Yeah, they're on leave or blah, blah, blah. And I happened to drive past their office on the day, full complement of everyone. And I used to work there, so I knew exactly who was there. And I had one of my mates, who was an old client, phone them up and talk to the two guys that weren't supposed to be there. And and I took photographs, and I had it because I knew they were going to be there.
Yeah, so you had the evidence.
When I went back to the CCMA, I'm like, they juked you. They lied to you. Here's the proof. I got people. They were like, we've rescheduled. It's cool, but don't worry.
They are so lackadaisical there.
I'm like, really? So the first appearance, I went on a first appearance and I won. And the guy was like, yeah, you can have R250,000, kind of thing. I was like, yeah, this is great.
I won. Then
they appealed, and then some other adjudicator was like, no, well, maybe we should hear this thing. And then we went, and we finally all got there. And then the adjudicator looked at me and said, well, you're a big boy. You should just know that companies lie when they're employing you. And, I mean, you shouldn't believe anyone when they employ you. And took that $250,000.
Condoned it.
Yeah. It was a lady. She took that $250,000 and dropped it to $20,000. Poof, puff, puff, done. Thank you very much. And she's like, yeah, you should have known. Employers lie. Sorry.
And that sets a precedent for everybody after that.
Yeah. And then, I was like, really?
What was the point of all of this?
I was unemployed for 5 months because of this. I got poached out of a really good job, all this kind of crap. I'm like, okay, I lost, my salary multiplied by 5 months plus all the other nonsense,
That doesn't even cover the petrol to Cape Town.
The 20 grand didn't cover. But it was like, different bunch.
I know.
Different bunch. And then every sort of labor guy that I hear, bro, I would have won 100%. If I was there, it never would have happened. Yeah. I'm the best. I've met 6 guys that all told me the same story.
I mean, if you told me, I'd probably say the exact same thing as well.
Well, it's fair.
In our blood.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a sales guy, so it's like, yeah, I've got you. I can help you. Don't worry. Yes, my techies, we know everything about computers. Is what I work in. I don't know everything about computers, but my guys, I always say between my brother and myself, we know everything.
Exactly.
They'll ask me a question. I go, oh, that's one my brother knows. Okay, so we got all these different types of I'm enjoying this immensely because I'm learning stuff now.
I'm glad.
What are you?
I am an attorney.
Okay.
I got admitted in the High Court. So that means I got my LLB. I did the 4 bar exams and passed. Well, I mean, I actually got an oral on accounting. Who gets an oral exam on accounting?
Okay.
Scary. Anyway, passed. Got admitted as an attorney of the High Court and then started practicing litigation, general litigation. So criminal, like rapists, murderers, just drunken driving, anything.
Mm-hmm.
And civil, so divorces, property.
Done that one as well.
Tick. Also refugee status applications or applications that were previously rejected.
Yeah.
Busy, adjudicating upon those, CCMA, you name it. I mean, taking on banks, liquidations, debt collections, obviously.
Nice.
So yeah, a lot of in court. My area of speciality was litigation. I lived it and loved it. Up until a year ago, yeah.
Okay. Now, so you talk about High Court. There's different kinds of court out there. So High Court is obviously high up there. I mean, hence the name. But there's like your local magistrates courts.
Yes.
Are there? I mean, so I know about the magistrates court. I've been there once or twice.
Yes.
So that's where you get divorced and married and whatever else.
Well,
you can
actually,
do
the regional court, because the magistrates court itself is even split up.
Oh.
So the magistrates court has a district division and a regional division.
Right.
So the regional magistrates court is normally where like the big murder cases and the big rape cases and the armored vehicle heist cases are heard, because they have a higher jurisdiction to give higher sentences. Okay. And also only a regional magistrates court can do divorces.
Right.
And then the district magistrates court just does like everybody else, one little sucky tick hid it in your shoe and
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else.
Yes.
Then actually below them, there's also the small claims court,
I was
family
about to
court,
ask, yes.
maintenance court. There's a whole plethora of minor divisions so that one magistrate doesn't have to deal with
Well, I suppose
everything.
they need to kind of be specialized in the thing. Because
And also
otherwise
there's so much.
Yeah.
You can't have one magistrate sitting. I mean, the children's
sure,
courts
yeah.
are so backlogged.
Yeah.
Especially here in Belleville. I mean, Belleville's one of the biggest jurisdictions other than Wynberg.
Sure.
So they are working overtime. Maintenance court, packed. Children's court, packed. Family court, packed. All the time.
Have you seen that? There's a YouTuber that goes out to, oh gosh, you said one of the big court, the one you mentioned.
High Court? Supreme Court of Appeal.
No. So no High Court.
Yeah?
So the Magistrates Court you mentioned, Wynberg. So that's the one. But they go out like on a random day. I know the radio did it. Like
Ramiz Khan does
they
it.
They did it, and then there was like a YouTuber.
What's happening at the courthouse?
Yes, what's happening at the courthouse. I
Love
watched a couple of videos.
Oh.
It's so great. The characters out there, you know,
and how they play into his hands. Like they really like some of them even like literally plead guilty live on radio, and I'm like, please stop talking. If you were my client, I would clobber you with that phone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I think if I've learned anything from TV, if you're in a courthouse, keep quiet.
Yeah, like don't say a word.
Even if you're visiting, just keep quiet.
Even if you're
Don't say
visiting.
things, you know, unless you're like there to put your hand up and go, I vouch for this person. And even then, you know, don't do it.
You know, even if you stand or sit at the wrong time. Like I know a magistrate at Blue Downs who I once was at the door coming in from visiting my client, like down in the hut.
Yeah.
And I was busy like halfway through the door and I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I like stopped and then I could see him looking at me. So I like closed the door and moved to the side. And that was the wrong thing to do. I should have just frozen. You know, he was like, ma'am, I will hold you in contempt of court. You should stand at attention. And I was like, I mean, it was a tough situation. So I just took it like a man. I was like, apologies, your worship. I'm so sorry. First time in this court, you know, played like wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
Even though it was like my 100th time, I was just like, I'm sorry, your worship. All praise to thee.
I have such an issue with people that are like that. I think I would be. So I'm that sarcastic, snarky.
Yeah, you would be held in contempt.
I would
immediately.
be. Oh yeah, no, it'd be day 1, minute 4, and I'd be sitting next to my client in the cell.
Yeah.
Because we're like, I'm sorry, bro. You know, you miss the toilets too. I mean, you're just like me. You know, I mean, come on. You know, you're a person. Why do you have to stand on pomp and all of this nonsense? Sure, you're a judge. Great. Or you're an advocate, or you're a whatever, or you're a salesman.
Exactly.
We all bleed red. We're all normal people.
Yeah.
Like I detest people that get on their high horse. Like it drives me.
Too.
You know, like anyone that kind of goes, you know, like I'm the boss and you will listen, or you know, I am this. Or,
I know, because I'm that kind of personality that automatically switches off when they start like that. They like do it to like get that grand attention. Then I'm like, oh, okay, my ADHDs. You know, all the H's and the D's are just like, okay, next. You know?
I had a friend of mine's dad who was a doctor. I won't say his surname, but if the guy's watching, he'll know because we had a good laugh. But his dad had 2 doctorates, I think.
Wow.
And now I grew up in a very chilled house. And my dad was like, so I mean, I met Thabo Mbeki when he was president.
Yeah.
And I shook his hand and said, "How's it, Boet? How you doing?" All right. That's how I greeted him.
Oh my God.
Everybody else was curtsying and bowing.
You're such a Durbanite.
You know, yeah. And
Oh,
I am
my
a
soul.
Durbanite, yeah. Well, in Tselboy at least. And so, like, that's how I met the guy. He loved it because everybody else was sucking up and kissing ass and whatever else.
And that's fake.
Yeah, and it's fake. And this was at like a massive ANC like Congress thing while he was president. You couldn't go in the rooms because they were talking deep, darkest secrets. And eventually I was doing sound, working for a company, and they had an issue, fixed the issue, and then someone broke it again, and then I had to fix it again. And eventually he came out and he was like, "Where's Des? Where's that guy?" And I was like, "I'm here." I was like sitting under a tree because he was just sitting outside waiting for something to go wrong. Right? He's like, "Okay, come here. You can't say anything about what you hear." So I'm like, "Yeah, cool." I'm like, "What's up?" I need you to sit there and make sure this thing works.
Babysit it.
Yeah, for 2 days I sat in this deep, darkest ANC conference, heard everything that was going to happen for the next election and all the, cool thing. And I was like, great.
That period was quite an exciting period. I would have loved to be a fly on the wall.
It was like a year a year and a year and a half before they booted him, kind of thing. So it was great. Like the whole party was all over the show. But so I greet the guy, how's it boot? That's kind of me. So I greeted as I do everybody at their first name. So like, hey, how's it, Flicky? Kind of thing. It's not his name, but and then my dad got a phone call, on the landline.
Oh, geez.
I have a double doctorate, and your son greeted me by name, by this name. And my dad was like, "Isn't that your name?" So yeah, I wasn't invited over that much after that.
Not. But you know what?
I
agree with you.
Like
that philosophy in life. I always tell, especially candidates, attorneys who are up and coming. Yeah. Because like when you tell them if the tea lady's not here, you have to step in and make tea and coffee for the clients. They're always like, I have a master's degree. Like, I'm not making, and I'm like, it's a DeLonghi coffee machine. You literally just press the buttons, like press like, and then cappuccino. It's not even like teaspoon of Rick coffee vibes.
Yeah.
Be that as it may. I love telling people. Like when I was still studying, my husband is a downhill mountain bike person.
Right.
In Stellenbosch.
Okay.
And it was like 4:30 in the morning in Stellenbosch, like in winter. So it was cold. And I had to be there because I had to drive them all up the hill, obviously, so they can come down the hill. So I drive them all up there and they do God knows what. And I'm on the bottom there on the little single track, sitting there with this poofy jacket and OBS here and OBS here. And I'm sitting there all alone. And this like oldish gentleman comes and sits next to me. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, hi, how are you? Like, what's in your jacket there? But he's like a friendly guy. Yeah. His kid was also one of the
that people that like OBs, they can tell. They can tell.
I think he could smell it. Yeah. Oh, that smell is pungent.
Yes, that is.
So he was like, what's in your jacket? And I was like, some OBS. And it was those like real flat half jacks.
Yes.
Like the embarrassing kind.
Yeah. No, it's not as embarrassing as the jug.
The one with the finger.
The one with the finger because you drink like this.
I've never had one of those. I feel I need to.
I watched two guys at Splashy Fen off their faces.
Was it sherry there or was it like Parpelay?
Sherry. No.
Because I know Parpelay also has
proper Cedric's Old Brown. And they were walking. It's like two metalheads, right? So like imagine black long trench coats, long hair, the makeup.
I love it.
And in the finger, walking along. And this must have been their fifth bottle or something each. And they were like, and the one guy, and they were hammered. They were kind of walking. It's like 500 meters to their tent, but it was a 3K walk,
Yes.
And the one guy kind of tilted up, kind of pirouetted, and then just fell over. Dunk. And the other guy went, lifted his bottle, also kind of pirouetted and fell over. Doof.
No.
And the next morning, I'm an early bird. Yeah, I'm an early bird, so I wake up like freck early.
Oh,
I can't help myself. Yeah, I can't help
I
myself.
hate those people.
And I got up. It was like 5:00, and I wanted to go watch the sound guys set up for the day because I'm that weirdo.
Yeah.
And I walked out into the middle of this field, and there's the two obese birds there.
I would be the
OB
bird in this situation.
Yeah, sleeping there in the middle of the field. It's great. So tell me about your old man there.
So the old man, I share some with him, and eventually, yes, the husband's up there, yes, the kid is up there. Then what do you do? What do you do? Inevitably in adult conversation, that's where you get to.
Yes, yeah.
And I'm like, nah, I'm just I'm just a law student in Stellenbosch studying through UNISA. I'm not even at the university. My husband's at the university. And he's like, oh, really? Like, I'm actually a director at a law firm. Like, are you looking for articles? And I was like, where? Are you kidding me right now?
Love those moments.
No jokes. 2 months later, like, I got a job in, like, a big, established, amazing law firm in Tiger Valley. And everybody's like, how did you get in it? I'm like, I don't want to tell you.
Yeah, I shared some
I don't want to
OBs.
tell anyone. Yeah. I'm like, I was just friendly to a stranger in the dark, in the forest at 4:30 in the morning.
But that's where,
And I could have been that, like, no rapist.
Yeah.
Ew, don't talk to me.
Yeah. My previous guest was talking, like, he came out of the events industry, worked then got a real job because he was tired of doing events, working at a co-working space. They hire out like offices to people monthly kind of thing, working there as a manager. And client comes in, looks for a space. He didn't have a space, made a joke kind of going, oh, why don't we get together and make our own? And the guy was like, yeah, cool. He now has 5 locations across the country. One of the bigger, like more like higher class, la-di-da co-working spaces. And in a offhand, off the cuff kind of,
Like
I'm
set
kind of
in jest.
joking, setting
Yeah.
jest, random meeting. Poof, guy's got his own business, shareholders, all this nonsense.
That's when life
He's
does
the
it.
bra.
Eh?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's also how I sort of Jono and Lindy, Jono who was on
Yes.
previously.
Yeah.
When I originally, my husband and I moved to Cape Town from KZN, my nose ring fell out in Stellenbosch one day. I had like a nose ring, was like I loved it. Tiny little stud, like you can't even see it. And it fell out. And I walked the streets of Stellenbosch and could not find one damn studio, Mimikyu, nothing. And I was so scared this hole would close because it's the most painful piercing in the world.
That's not, but yes.
Okay, to me it is because it's like I haven't had a septum. So I assume septum piercing would be the worst.
No, not even.
Be that
It's
as it
different
may,
for boys and girls.
I'm a
We
tattoo
can't mention it on the
nuts,
podcast.
but
Yeah.
yeah. So be that as it may, I phoned up Jono and Lindy and I'm like, yo,
I need
I
your help.
cannot find a damn nose stud in the entire Stellenbosch.
That's very weird. There's lots of hippies out
Town.
there. Yeah.
Like, y'all need to get up in here now. There's money to be made.
Yeah.
Albeit just on nose rings.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's those like aha moments in life where
Absolutely.
you have to be awake enough to see them. Like
Yeah.
All Brown Sherry, like Mr. Co-working Space guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what makes life so
Yeah. I
Wow.
love, I mean, look, we're not in America.
yeah.
But
I mean, I wish we
it's-
were. I'd love to be in
sure,
America right now.
the American
sorry.
dream and all of that, like it seems to be easy. I mean, I watch a guy on one of the socials, and he's a dumpster diver.
Yeah.
He makes $50,000-$60,000 a year just going to dumpsters and getting stuff that shops have thrown out and selling it on eBay. Right?
But I mean, just
he
look
works
at
a
normal
normal job.
Americans.
Yeah.
They throw away such nice stuff.
Yeah, he works a normal job and does all that, and that's what he does. And then I met a guy, I went to Oz a while back. I met a guy in Oz. He's got a ute, which is a bucky.
Yeah.
And a ute and a trailer. And the Aussies, they put whatever it is that they don't want, they put it out on the curb. Right? And there's like certain days, and he's got his route, and route. What do they say there? Oh. Because a route means something else. It means what you think it means, yeah. And and he drives around and just stops and washing machine, thank you. Turfs on the back of his bucky,
Yeah, like
tries to
people get
fix it.
couches like that.
Yeah,
That's
tries
all.
to fix it. If it doesn't fix, turfs it in, puns it in for money. And the guy's, that's his job. The economy is strong enough to support that.
Yeah.
But then, like South Africa, it's harder. The
Yes.
second-hand market here is much harder because
the
money
stolen goods
means
market
more.
is also
That too, but money means more here. And yeah, it's but yet there's still these moments where people can do something, make a success of themselves. It's incredible. I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
Because some of the most amazing, like, I mean, even in the law, sometimes the coolest answer is like the simplest one.
Yeah.
People want to always like overthink it and overconvolute it with act this, blah, 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 blah. I do a lot of it. I used to do a lot of evictions.
Okay.
And there was this family, that were literally almost on the street. Literally. Like, I was going to bring them into my house because I felt so bad. It was a pastor and like his millions of kids and wife who was amazing. And I was going to put them in my house, honestly. And I just found that they'd given the wrong, like 3 years ago, they gave the wrong amount of notice. Are you okay there?
I'm good.
I mean, I'm not that
Went down the wrong path.
So, I mean, this story, for one, is not funny. But
Yeah.
I just found in the letter of demand that these attorneys gave like 3 years ago, instead of giving a full calendar month notice, they gave 30 days. That
Okay.
tiny, tiny mistake
Yes.
made that landlord lose the whole case. And my client won with costs. Obviously, they can come
Yeah.
back again, but I at least bought my client another like 8 months while they redo the whole eviction again.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
keep
but
it simple, stupid.
that's Denny Crane.
Of course.
Like we all watch. I mean, you've
Denny
watched
Crane.
it, Denny Crane.
Oh,
You watched that one episode where it's like someone said to me, like, he said to someone, "I bet you I'll win the case just by saying my name."
I know.
And he walked in and he looked at everyone, Denny Crane, and he sat down and he won. I mean, it's complete nonsense.
I wish.
But could you imagine?
But it's not a complete lie, actually. Not to, I could go on forever, but there is a certain, especially when you appear in Cape Town, for example, Joburg, different breed. But in the Western Cape, you appear, like if you're an attorney based in Belleville, your home courts are like Capara only has a criminal court,
Sure.
but Belleville for criminal and civil, Goodwood criminal and civil, those are your main courts. Blue Downs as well. So because you appear so often,
if you get a speeding fine in Belleville, you go to Blue Downs.
Well, mostly I go to Blue Downs for domestic violence matters. So, that as well.
I was driving a car that the license was expired.
Yes.
And we were busy purchasing the vehicle. It was in between names. We couldn't get a license or even a temp.
Yes.
Anyway, and I had to drive for work and whatever else. And I got pulled over on the on-ramp down the road here on the R300. Because we were pulled over on that on-ramp, Blue Downs is the court. If I was pulled over on the main drag, Belleville.
I know.
And the guy's like, you can go to Blue Downs and fight it. I'm like, are you mad, really?
I don't want to die.
See this beautiful face? I won't last.
A day.
And he laughed. He was like, I'm like, are you going to come with me, bro? And he goes, no.
Have a police escort,
Yeah, I can have an escort. So
but so as I was saying, you appear in these courts so often.
Yes.
And whether you win cases or not is not the issue, but the magistrates deal with you so often that they actually learn. It's more than a rapport. It's like a trust.
Yeah.
Because
they can tell when you're being honest or when you...
they trust you as an honest and respectable legal practitioner.
Yeah.
So there are times when I will come and I will fight and I will fight and I will fight. And they'll be like, Mrs. Dearling, we understand, but the law is the law.
Yeah.
But there's other times when it's like a 50-50. And because they know me, and because they know I'm not there to pull a fast one or bullshit them or, interpret the law creatively like, Harvey Specter or Mike or Danny Crane. I don't do that.
Yeah.
That doesn't fly, actually, with most magistrates.
Sure.
So they learn to trust you.
Yeah.
And so when you have those moments when it's like a 50-50, there are times when they're just like, you know what? Nah.
Yeah, we can see that you've got what you need.
Yes. And you're not, this is an urgent application because it's an urgent application.
Sure. Yeah.
And you get what you want based on not being an obnoxious, rude, as you were saying, like those la-di-da, like I'm a doctor or I'm a senior counsel advocate of the Cape Bar, you know? You're not an asshole about it. You're just like, listen, I'm here for my client. These are the facts.
Yes.
Like, you have to say yes because you're a creature of statute. They hate that.
Yeah.
You can only act within the parameters of the law, and this is what the law says. So you just rubber stamp it for me.
Yeah. I like that.
And they have to,
That's good.
And that's why it's also good not to be a dick.
Yes.
You have to just be a normal person.
It's across everywhere. Like, everyone that sat in that seat has been like, you've got to be nice to everybody.
Yes.
You have to, do your thing and treat everybody kind of equally because you never know. You never know.
But especially the courts. I mean, the security guards are my best friends because every time I go there, I never remember. I'm like, where's the municipal court now? I mean, the signs still say 3rd floor, but it hasn't been there for like 7 years. And the lifts don't work either. So it's like, are you sure I want to walk like 7 flights of stairs and find out it's on floor 1 again? Security guards and janitors in courts, BFFs.
Yeah, no, you
I will smuggle Cokes in just to give to them to be like, I love you, my friend. Thanks for saving my ass on Friday.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you said now. You literally have to be friends with everyone and just treat them with respect, which is hard. Because people have hard days and sometimes you're in a rush.
Yeah.
And they're doing their jobs and I'm like, can you not do your job today, please?
Yeah. I learned as a kid to just say hello to people. I still get it wrong. But like I remember walking into it was like youth group or something at church, and so I was doing sound and I was a little late and kind of rushed through and walked past. Everyone was milling outside and I kind of hustled past. And
you had like blinkers on.
I had the blinkers and I do that. I'm very goal orientated, and so I get behind the sound desk, get it all up and running. The band's going, everything, the music's on. Okay, Kif, lekker. Youth pastor comes and sits down next to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, bro." We've got 4 girls who are in tears. We've got 2 young guys that are so bleak that look up to you, like younger dudes in the youth. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? He goes, you didn't say hello to them. You just walked past and ignored them. They're bleak. Like, you've got to, you've got to. I was like, yo. And I learned in that moment. But now what I do is hello. Yeah. I'm not saying hello actually, but I'm, if I'm in a rush, it's like I've got this default
like
sort
a
of
reflex.
Yeah, this reflex.
Whether you're a stranger or I know.
Hello. How's it? And I'm out with the fingers. And that's me. You
can get like 3 people with those fingers as well.
Same time. Yeah. What's up, bro?
Exactly.
Don't actually have to remember their names. How's it, bro? What's up, Chanelle?
It's important.
It is.
It's very important.
Okay, let's dive into the different courts. So now I've heard about High Court and then Supreme Court, obviously, but you don't go and play there.
No.
Okay.
No, so Supreme Court, nobody really plays there because it's not an appearance court. You file papers and then like a whole bench of judges read your papers. Supreme Court is a paper fight.
Oh, okay, cool.
You don't go and like, well, you can say like, I'm bringing this case, here's my papers. And then they're like, okay, we'll call you in 6 months, you know?
Okay.
And constitutional court is sort of the same as well.
Sure.
The rules are different.
Okay.
But the main courts for like the everyday person who needs a lawyer and who is an attorney or an advocate is High Court, Magistrates Courts, like both of them.
So earlier you mentioned there's small claims, right? So Magistrates and High Court, we'll just like look at those. Are there, I kind of know the answer, but I don't know the whole answer.
Okay.
Right? But are there limitations to what you bring to those courts?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, small claims is in the name. It kind of says on the tin.
20,000 Rand and under.
20,000 Rand and under.
Yes.
Okay. So that's considered a small thing.
Small thing.
Cool bananas. We're not going to dive into that one. Then your magistrates courts and your high courts.
Yes.
Where's the line between them?
Okay, so first of all, there's two jurisdictions,
Yes.
if we can name it that way.
Sure.
So first of all, it's a geographical limitation or jurisdiction.
Okay.
And secondly, it's a monetary jurisdiction.
So the geographical one is that funny word they use in all the contracts.
Yes.
I've signed.
You actually consent to.
Yes, because you say if there is a disagreement, this is the area that it will be looked at. Blah blah blah.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Especially if it's like with banks, because they all want you to
Yes.
take your ass to Joburg because their head offices are there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll talk about that now. I've got a great one for you.
Well, I've actually litigated on that one like recently, so I have a good answer. I hope.
Lovely.
So let's start with High Court.
Yeah.
Because High Court has an all-encompassing geographical jurisdiction. The Western Cape High Court, held in Cape Town, deals with the whole of the Western Cape.
Sure.
Funny enough, though, they do have a circuit High Court in George. To be honest, I don't know when that pops up or not or what, but it appears it's like head sometimes.
They needed something there to drive the economy or something.
Something.
Yeah.
So sometimes there is something there.
Sure.
I just don't know what.
Cool.
But Cape Town is, I mean, I have litigated in Cape Town before. The big, scary, awesome, fun stuff happens at the Cape Town High Courts. Then you get your jurisdiction. Oh, and that monetary jurisdiction is unlimited. You can sue someone for like 36 gazillion rand.
Sure.
You know, or euro even.
Is there a limit on the bottom end?
No.
So, yeah. So
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Okay, so you can take someone to High Court for anything above $20,000.
Yes. Actually, for less even.
Okay.
Yes, there are evictions that are brought in the High Court, and the summons accompanying the eviction
So
is like 1 month of rent, 7,000 rand.
I thought there was a low end limit on the High Court.
There should be.
Okay.
And I mean, case law, recent case law might contradict me.
Okay, sure.
But I always raise it as like a point and say to them, I'm not paying advocate and court fees on a high court scale because this claim is so measly. You could have bought it in a magistrate's court at a magistrate's tariff and used a shorter time period because the trial in the high court takes like 4 years. Magistrate's court will take like 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So high court is more money.
Yes.
More time, more delays, depends on which side you're on, whether you want to be there or not, you know?
Yeah.
But in every respect, claims under the maximum, that's why they've given the magistrate's court a cap.
Oh, okay.
And that's to try and guide the limits where you start to take it to high
What's
court.
the cap on the magistrate's court?
So the magistrate's court, the last gazetted one I was aware of was 250,000 or 300. So that's the cap for the district.
Oh, now I see
District court.
things.
So
Okay.
now magistrate's court, remember I explained to you split between district and regional.
Yes.
So for civil claims, which is like me suing you for your tree falling on my car, you know, and divorces, for regional, district court 250, regional court 600,000,
Okay.
and then anything above that, you should then ideally go to high court.
Okay.
Because then that is the correct forum to air the dispute.
Yeah.
And that's how they also try and, you know, give those matters to those magistrates, because obviously the lower end and the higher end will see more.
Yes.
So that flow to those magistrates and their case flow management is way better because they have way more judges. And then the regional deal with these finicky, specialized things, you know? So that's sort of where it starts and ends.
That makes sense. So I'll give you my first. I've got like 2 or 3 cool little examples.
Okay.
Look, I mean, I don't know. Like it's something I'm busy kind of with.
Okay.
So I won't mention the bank. I won't mention the company.
They're all just as awful as each other, so I don't even think it matters anymore.
Yeah. So I bought a vehicle.
Yeah.
Financed it, right? Through
secondhand. Okay.
Through a bank, and then I bought it. I was living in Cape Town, but I bought it in Pretoria.
Okay.
Because it was the car that I wanted, the spec
from
I wanted. From a dealership.
Okay, so it wasn't a private sale, yeah?
No, not a private sale. No, don't ever buy a car from
I
a
know,
private
that's why
person.
I'm just asking.
Yes, yeah.
Because obviously you want
a
the
private
CPA
person,
to be your
end
friend.
of the conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Sorry
why are you selling it? Because I know why I've sold cars before.
So bought it, drove it back to Cape Town, and I was on a bit of a timeline. Doesn't really matter, but I drove it around the block, and it was fine. It drove.
Yeah,
you know.
Did you at least plug a diagnostics machine in?
No, should have, but
I mean, you don't have those in your back pocket.
You don't have those in your back pocket, exactly. So anyway, drove it back to Cape Town. It drove great. It was cool.
Yeah.
Like everything worked. Off we went. Got back to Cape Town. Picked up. This is great. So this now was at a job that I'd just gotten like 4 or 5 months before.
Yeah.
And they'd given me like this little stipend to pay for a car.
Nice.
Great. I'm getting a car for free.
That's so cool.
Kind of thing, Anyway.
Yes. Your budget just grew.
Yeah. So now the head of this distribution company from overseas comes out. He's a bajillionaire. I think he was like a billionaire in euros. So, he owns everything. Like 3 hotels.
Please don't tell me you had to pick him up.
I had to pick him up, which was cool. And I got all the way up into the Eastern Cape, picked him up from the airport. Great stuff. We started driving, seeing clients because he wanted to see all our clients and blah, blah, blah.
So were you in sales at this stage?
Sales,
okay, I get you.
And so I was regional sales.
Okay, so you like just driving for a living.
Yeah, yes.
You're a driver.
Yeah. And I'm like, I noticed the battery light comes on in the car. And I'm like, oh, that's just not good. Considering we're day 1 into a 4-day trip. We get to the client, check the client out, start the car, and it kind of yucks and starts. And I'm like, oh, we're in trouble.
So was it an automatic?
No,
thank God.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to get back to where I kind of know. So we start hauling back and get into Knysna, and literally the car dies. Pull into a parking space. Cool. Alternator's gone.
Yeah.
Now, when the alternator goes, battery goes also.
I know.
And so I phone all these oaks, and they're like, warranty, don't stress. We're going to pick it up, blah, blah, blah. Organize another car. I disappear. We get a quote. The dealership then says, no, warranty won't cover that. So I'm like, hold on. There's a 6-month implied warranty on every second-hand car from a dealership. This is, consumer law, common law, whatever. That's the thing. I don't care what you do. I'm going to KZN because I've got a business thing that I have to do there.
Yes.
I'm coming back in 5 days. It's your responsibility to sort it out. He got it moved to another mechanic, got a cheaper price, blah, 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 got it fixed. Cool. Pick the car up, drive it back to Cape Town. Then in Cape Town, what was the next thing that went?
Water pump. A different thing.
Yeah, water pump went next. So same fight. Now he's like, this is now 2 in a row, bro. What kind of nonsense?
Like, how are you driving this car, man?
Exactly, And I'm like, Chana, we are 4 weeks into me owning this vehicle. Sorry, Chana. Like,
yeah, it's a piece of shit.
Do this thing, get it fixed. So
you still gave him an opportunity to get it fixed.
I know, because I'm too nice.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, I know.
I would have already shoved it up his ass last time.
So we get that fixed. Cool. I got it back. The next day, head gasket went. So at that point now, I'm like, okay, cool, no.
Yeah, you blew a
Thank you very much.
Well,
yeah. So I phoned the dude. I'm like, bruh, not happening. You told me when we signed the paperwork that if this thing's a lemon,
yes,
the consumer law says I can send it back. He goes, no, well, actually, that's not true entirely. We'll fix it. But the warranty fixes it. So they force you to buy a warranty so that they don't have to have the implied warranty, but those warranties never cover.
I know.
So I took it back to the mechanic, the one that they wanted me to go to, RMI dealer, blah, blah, blah. The guy comes to me and he goes, dude, he says, bro, look, I've opened this car twice now. There's a few things wrong. He's like, did you notice that you have no latches on your windows in the back? And this thing it was half converted into a camper, so it had curtains, which is why I wanted it. And the seats folded down as a mattress. This is what I wanted, Anyway, so I never looked at the windows. I don't go in the back, I don't open windows because I'm never driving in the back,
Exactly.
And so I go look in the back. True as nuts, there's no latches on any of the windows. I'm like, what?
By latch, you mean that thing?
That little thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And on a VW Caddy, those things are expensive. Hella expensive. Anyway.
I can only imagine. I just think of that little window on a Bucky. And
similar kind of latch. Yeah. And anyway, so this guy said, look, bro, can I draw up a list of everything that's wrong and quote you?
Please.
And then you can send it to this bro. So I was like, yeah, cool. In this time, I'd been pulled over by the cops and told that the tires were wrong. In this time, I'd been pulled over by the cops and told the lights were wrong. In this time, when the cops pulled me over, they do like their little push to check the shocks. And they were like, China, these shocks are gone. How did you get this through roadworthy? Because I was like, I just bought it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this writes a list. It's like 2 pages at 10-point typing kind of thing, right? And it comes out, he's like, dude, to fix this car is going to cost you about 117,000 Rand. I bought the car for 129. And I'm like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
Phone the bro back. China, I'm sending this car back. No, you can't. I said, dude, tires are gone. This is gone. Shocks are gone. That is gone. The head gasket now looks like it's gone.
Let me send you this list.
Like there's a whole list. I'm going to send all this crap to you, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
He's like, there's a warranty. You paid for the warranty on the thing. Get it fixed under warranty.
Also said, listen, you also bought it foot stuffed.
Yeah, so you bought it foot stuffed. You drove it around the block. It's on you.
It.
Yeah, we are not liable.
Yes.
That's the end of the discussion.
It's more just material defects and it drives. So
yeah, exactly. So there was a lawyer friend of mine and I was chatting at a braai about this thing.
Yes.
And he said, look, dude, I do property law, but he says, I've learned this stuff and I did a bit of it. He goes, I know a bit about consumer law. He says, you've got to send them a registered legal letter. And you got to do it like soon.
Yes.
Because we were then at 5 weeks. Right? Gosh. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, we've got 6 months though. He goes, no, China. 6 months is the limit. But he says, you've got to do it now while it's all fresh.
Yeah.
He says, like, don't pay for anything. Don't fix anything. He's like, I know it's going to suck. Just suck it up.
Yeah, bait fuss.
And off you go. I had another car, so I was kind of okay.
Goodness.
Sort of, yeah. And anyway, so he wrote it all up for me. We sent it to this guy, and he effectively responded with a middle finger. He was like,
naturally,
get stuffed.
If I was his attorney, I would say the exact same thing.
Yeah. So he was there. So then this other guy said, look, bro, ombudsman, that's the start of the process.
Yeah.
Sweet. So here's this this ingenious des. Off I go. So I get all my papers, I get letters, I get everything up together in 2-3 days.
Mechanic, blah,
blah,
blah.
All of it done. Send it off to the ombudsman. Long story short on that, ombudsman rules in my favor.
Of course.
Must get sent back, must get refunded.
Yes.
I must pay for the mileage that I've done. But effectively, it was like, cool, it's a 5-year period. You did X amount of mileage. This is what it's worth.
Yeah.
You must pay it back.
And there would also probably be like a little bit of loss of income claim there too, I would say.
Potentially, but Ombud doesn't deal with that.
Yeah. No.
Not really. So, but they said, look, you must be made whole. You can't lose. You got to come out effectively on zero.
Exactly.
Great. So
restored to your original position.
Yeah, it's a legalese. So all that paperwork gets sent through and the dealership says, nope. Not interested. No, thank you. And now we're sitting. So now the bank, I almost said the bank's name. Anyway, I would have had to cut that, but I don't want to disparage anybody.
Yes.
But so anyway, so the bank got involved, and then before the ombudsman thing, I
said,
had
you been paying your installments?
Yes, 6 months of installments. Anyway, so I said to the bank, because there was a guy who was talking to me from the bank, and he said to me, if the ombudsman rules in my favor, they've made an agreement with the dealership. They will take the vehicle back. They'll refund me. It's all done and dusted.
Okay.
Right? Cool. So I was like, okay, lekker. Ombudsman, I won. Dealership, another middle finger. I phoned the bro from the bank, and he's like, yeah, you see, we don't actually get involved with this stuff. So, and I was like, okay, can I please have a copy of the recording from 2 weeks ago where you told me that you guys have an agreement if I win, blah, 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 blah. So he goes, oh, you got to talk to this department there.
Request
you
it,
have to
fill in a
request it,
form.
fill a form. They then phoned me back and said, no, you have to
Hire.
come to Joburg to the data center to listen to it. If you want to, you can't have a copy of it. You can't have anything, So when they say on the phone, oh, you can, it'll be made available to you. No, you got to get a court order to actually get it.
I was about to say, actually, normally they only allow a court order or a police official if you open a case.
Yeah. So they said, I can come listen. That's cool. And then the guy that was there said, there is no recording saying that. I've listened to all your recordings. I'm like, no, China, not bro. And I had a WhatsApp. Yeah, I had a WhatsApp message where I messaged this guy because we were on WhatsApp, and I had confirmed. I said, bro, blah, 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 blah. Yes, no, I went. Now you must see my stack of docs.
Jeez.
Anyway, so long story short, the bank said, "Not, we're not getting involved anymore. You must pay us." They made a mistake because when I went to Ombudsman, I said, "Look, I've now lost my car allowance because of this, because I don't have the car," which I did. So I said to them, "Push pause until the Ombudsman comes. If the Ombudsman rules against me, I'll carry on paying."
Exactly.
And blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
Anyway, so they stopped it, but they never got my consent because the conversation was done on a private phone, not on the bank phone. And they stopped it. And they were supposed to get a lady to do the legal verbal contract.
Exactly.
They never did. Wow. Great. So the thing was stopped. Anyway, Ombudsman comes back. Guy says, get stuffed. Bank goes, we're not touching it.
Yeah.
You have to start paying. I said, no, thanks. And I left it. Cool. So now your Ombudsman, there's a period of time you have to wait. I phoned the Ombudsman people back.
Yes.
They said, look, you got to wait a little while. As soon as that's done, go NCC. Now redo all the paperwork, all the nonsense, everything else. NCC, this was 5.5 years ago.
Gosh.
Bureau of Standards phoned me the other day, said, yes, you technically are right. You can now take it to tribunal. We're going to get the commissioner to sign blah, blah, blah. Still haven't got that yet.
Jeez.
But this is now 6.5 years later, trying to get to tribunal. The car was taken back in the meantime.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to prove that there was nothing wrong with the car. So
Okay.
they sent a truck, took it all the way back to Pretoria, and took them 4.5 weeks, and they produced this letter saying there are 0 defects on this vehicle.
Yeah, it just depends on who. You
And
have
I'm
to
like,
forum shop a bit.
yeah. What friend did you know?
Hey.
And he accused me of, paying off the guys
Yes.
at the RMI dealership that I went to.
Yes,
and
and
all
it
this
doesn't
kind
help
of
that you're like in
nonsense.
different provinces as well.
Yeah. So now I'm sitting with this whole thing. Do you know what a nightmare it is to fight the banks when you have no money to pay a lawyer?
I was just
Or
about to
a
say,
lawyer, an
like,
advocate.
this is the long way around if you do not have money to pay an attorney to do this immediately.
Because if you listen to what they say, you see the adverts on TV, the Consumer Commission,
Yes.
you are protected.
Yes.
The Ombudsman is on
You
your
have rights.
side. You have rights. It's that guy from ETV that does the,
Yes.
that
Wow, you
does
actually
the
did a really good rendition
action
of him
nights.
there.
ETV.
Exactly. Trevor Noah also does a great
Yes, yeah.
impersonation of him.
And it's like, and you think that you're protected. Consumer
Yeah.
Protection Act. I'm a consumer. I'm protected. And you're not.
But you see, you said what, 6.5 years?
Now, yeah.
So
Well, now is where we are. 6.5 years.
I
Yeah.
had the same situation with one of my clients who the exact same thing happened to her. Except the car wasn't broken. She bought the car and she traded in another car.
Okay.
But they didn't settle the trade-in vehicle. So she was paying for 2 vehicles. And this dealership just also, middle finger. Like, your problem, lady. So we sent the letter of demand. It was in Cape Town. So I just served it with the sheriff because, like, he's big and scary, the one from Goodwood.
Oh, okay.
So
No,
you
the
pay,
guy,
like-
the guy in Somerset West is nice. He's so friendly.
Oh, damn.
Lekker guy.
No,
yeah.
these guys here, and the one,
No
the
bus.
Belleville High Court one is a woman. She's
There
the
we go.
scariest. She drives this big, scary, looks like a G-Wagon.
Oh,
But I think it's
nice.
like a Lada, actually.
Okay. A Russian car.
I'm telling you, she's badass. Be that
Yeah.
as it may. So for her, for my friend, from letter of demand, saying, yo, this is what you've done. In terms of you are a supplier, my client is a consumer, end of story. These are her rights. Repair, replace, refund.
Yes.
We're not entertaining bullshit. Refund. Both cars now. Sort out with the bank. We don't want anything from you. She doesn't want the bakkie that she traded in. She doesn't want the Mini that she bought from you either, because there's been a break in, goodwill, confidence,
Yes.
business relationship
Yeah.
has irretrievably broken down.
Yeah.
Take all your shit back, refund my client. within 24 hours, we want a response.
Sure.
No
I think that
response.
was the same argument my ex-wife used on me.
Did she want a refund?
No, she didn't. To be fair, she didn't want a refund.
Wow.
But no, I think that irretrievable,
Damn. Yeah, breakdown.
I'm a very hard person to live with.
That's the key word in divorces.
I don't know how my wife does it. Like she
deserves
saint.
a medal.
She is a saint. The second time got it right, but like, yeah, no, she's a saint.
But I mean, from what I've heard, you like surfing couches and living in spare rooms, and
Well,
I always think, was she with you then?
No.
Because I was like, I can imagine this like woman with her bags, or like a backpacker, like a cool if your wife was like a Russian and she had this backpack ready and she was like backpacking through Africa with you.
All of my like
from
sort
friend
of
to auntie to cousin's
all
couch.
of my sort of creative living experiences were done when I was single.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so amazing.
So I had all the time that I've been married, I've been in a nice place, like nice houses and whatever else, except for when I moved back from Natal, it was still nice. Like I moved in with my parents.
Yeah,
so we squeezed like all of our stuff, everything, right? So it's like my folks and all their stuff, and then like our house and all our stuff. And we had these like big poofy couches and stuff and whatever else. And my parents, they also saints to put up with me and my nonsense.
Definitely.
But
they don't really have a choice.
Yeah. So what's the recourse for someone in those kinds of situations? Because I've heard other people, I've got friends of mine now, same deal.
Yeah.
Went to Pretoria, bought a car, drove it back. It was a lemon. They 2 days later got back, phoned a dealership, submitted their legal letter. 3 days later, the truck was here, picked the car up, their money was in the bank. 7 days later, poof, puff, done. Exact scenario. Fine, it was a different thing. For them, it was suspension. For me, it was an alternator and a water pump. And like there seems to be a thing like the ombudsman seems to rule but doesn't have teeth to enforce.
Yes, it's not like an arbitration award that has the same level of enforcement as a court order.
The NCC seems to be a vetting institution
that
just vets and says, yes, this is cool. And then tribunal is kind of
that's the adjudicator.
And they apparently, tribunal's got power, like serious power, from what I understand.
They do. That would be like your sort of court order, where they would also be like an adjudicator forum, but they would like be the right forum to condone and give the stamp to enforce that as a court order.
Yeah. Can they award damages?
They can definitely award damages.
Cool.
That is within their power.
Yeah.
And
I always wonder, like it's
no, they can, and that's why I raised like loss of income as well, because I mean, the time it takes you to get there is problematic without an attorney.
I've lost increases.
Yeah,
I have not been able to take jobs because I can't buy a car.
Yeah.
So the only jobs that I can take are jobs where someone gives me a car to do it, which means now our salaries are impacted.
And I mean, our economy is like sort of in the toilet, so nobody's just giving away cars and jobs.
No. And I'm lucky at the moment. I work with my brother, so the company bought a car. Great. I get wheels. But what's the recourse? Like, I mean, I've gone through it. I haven't had the money to do it. Thankfully, I now have a guy, a tribunal dude. He does tribunal cases.
Yes.
And he's helping me out, but only once we get there. So I'm still waiting for my commissioner certificate or whatever,
To be completely honest, I mean, and I'm a practicing attorney.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I only can speak within my experience as a practicing attorney. And I've literally, when clients have come to me with cases like this, like I told my client with the mini and the bucky, I was like, I know you don't have money and I can't help you for free. Like these lights need to be paid to stay on.
Yes, yeah.
But you need this solved as quickly as possible, and I want to help you. But to do this, and to do this on an urgent application basis, because we had already had like emails from them acknowledging that they'd made a mistake and that they would take the cars back and refund her. In response, like before we got the formal middle finger. So I was like, we have the ammo, we need money.
Yes.
So I told her straight, you're going to go to the bank, you're going to get a loan for $110,000 because I'm going to need $30,000. The advocate's going to need $30,000. And then we're going to go to court and we are going to bring an urgent application for relief with damages, because obviously there was a whole side story as well, as there always is.
There always is.
And she needed to survive and get to work, blah, blah, blah. Went to the bank, they'd only give her $80K, which was fine. I took that money, put it on trust, went to advocate and said, this is the problem. Time sensitive. go crazy, like bulldog them.
Mm.
No jokes. From our letter of demand to her getting that money into her bank account, it wasn't even 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And I mean, then
and she got your fees covered and all of that
fees
covered
all
and
covered
whatever.
up
Yeah, that's
front.
cool. Yeah.
I mean, that money was on trust. We actually didn't even use it all. So she could pay back the loan. Her name was cleared of both of the cars. She could actually just go and reapply somewhere else. She bought a new car eventually.
Nice. Yeah.
From a dealership.
Yes. Yeah,
But the proper recourse would be, and as I said to you, would be to actually, before you buy the car, and I know nobody listens to this because I don't listen to this myself.
Yeah.
Nobody ever
I know. Well, I don't even
does.
think it's about listening to it. It's almost impossible. I'm guessing what you're going to say. So go for it and say it, and then we'll.
You need to have your due diligence before you purchase the vehicle, because there's a fine line, and that's the difference between your case and the other friend you knew's case, where you said his was sorted immediately. It's a material defect.
Yes.
Like a latent defect problem. And the Consumer Protection Act covers you if it was not disclosed.
Yes.
So if they say to you, no, this car's working 100%, it drives, no problems. Then you drive down the road and the water pump goes or, the fan belt snaps or whatever. That's wear and tear.
Yeah.
Technically. That is your problem.
Yeah.
You should have checked how worn it was. You should have checked the tread on the tires.
Have you
nobody does it.
Have you ever checked a water pump?
No, I don't even know what that is. I think only an air pump, that big black thing.
you have to take the cam belt off most engines to be able to get to the water pump.
Oh, jeez.
You can't check it. You can check and kick the tires and that kind of thing.
Or like I said, like plug in a diagnostics machine.
Well, that's a different story.
I mean, that costs about 600 Rand. Well, then, when I was buying a second-hand car, which was like 4 years ago. So I don't know if it's cheaper or more expensive now.
It depends where you go.
Just get a friend.
Yes. Yeah.
You can at least do that.
Yeah. Cool. So, so you say like those are, check as much as you can.
Yeah.
So there, you get given all these papers, a DECRA report, it has been through the AA check and the 130-point check, and you kind of trust it.
Yeah.
Because
blindly.
Yeah, well, not even blindly, because I think I even said to the guy, I said, hey, I want to take this thing to, I don't have the time to drive around with you while you, whatever. Either you want to buy the car or you don't.
Yeah. No time for due diligence here.
Yeah. And then also, you've flown to Pretoria, you've spent them, that guy knows. He's like, well, cool, go home then, pal. If you don't want it, get stuffed, bro. Yeah, exactly. So you end up in these scenarios where there's almost a no-win.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And it's terrible because it's like going to the CCMA yourself as well without, at arbitration stage having an attorney. But the law is on your side. And especially if you, as you say, private individual, never. Dealership, yes, because it is their business to sell cars.
Well, they're not
and
a consumer.
That is why a supplier.
Yeah.
They are a supplier.
Yes, yeah. Well, they're not a consumer.
Yeah.
So, and even there, I think there was a limit. I saw under a certain amount of turnover, a company is considered a consumer.
Well,
but it's like a very small amount of turnover.
Yes, it's tiny. I must say, I just work default setting that a company is never a consumer.
Yes.
That's like in corporate, evictions and stuff like that, commercial evictions. I'm just like, if it's between two companies, don't even look at the Consumer Protection Act because the hoops, it's impossible. The threshold is tiny.
Yeah.
So the fact that it's like private individual and the supplier is a dealership, you are in a very favorable position. But you have to go guns blazing from the beginning. And by guns blazing, I mean you need to run with your tails between your legs to an attorney, sell a kidney, get some money, and pay that bastard whatever they want to make this problem go away. Yeah. Because it's all the pussyfooting in the beginning, hey, there's something wrong with the car.
Yes.
Can we please? No.
Yeah.
You need to, from the beginning, be like, okay, this is going to be a slippery slope.
Earth from day one. Yeah.
Exactly. Go to, even if it was your attorney friend at the bride, just be like, bro, I don't want this piece of shit now. I can just see, I'm not this for this. Just tell them, CPA, what are my rights? This is the one I'm electing. It's your choice. Because I remember them fighting back. The dealership was like, no, we can decide if we're going to replace or refund or, or repair.
Yeah.
And I was like, actually, no, I decide. I'm in the position of power.
Yes.
And you will refund me. And you will refund me now.
Yeah.
So that is the only advice I could give.
Yeah.
Is that retrospective? I mean, it's not going to help you much now.
No, not at all. It's a great sort of example.
Yes,
You
but
go onto
people
Hello Peter,
need
you're going to
to-
see it.
Yes, people need to utilize the power of a lawyer's letter
Yes.
way earlier, and also tell your lawyer not to play nice.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't have to be like a chauvinistic prick about it, but just say like, this is the law.
Yeah.
This is what I want, and I want it now. And if you do not abide by this within 7 days or even shorter,
Yeah.
we are going to court for an urgent application. And this is how much money I'm going to give the lawyers, and this is how much money you're going to have to pay back when we win, because we will win, because I've told you
Yeah.
now how we're going to win.
Yeah.
And that's what we had to do. Those people had to pay my clients' lawyers' fees as well
Yeah.
when we won.
On that, so you've
Yeah.
said, is it a thing of you have to give the money
No.
in order to prove that there's fees, or is it like, I mean, if you have a nice lawyer, I mean,
Yeah.
so
I'm that guy.
So, okay, yeah, but
I'm that
so
nice
say
lawyer.
then I came to you and was like, hey, look, I've been to the bank and
Yes.
they said I have 10 rand.
Yes.
But your fees are going to cost me $110,000. Let's obviously get that money back. Blah blah blah. There's no
Yes.
need to prove that money up front or anything like
No,
that.
there
It's just a
won't
thing
be.
of like, okay, cool.
So you
this is your
actually-
fees. You sign a
yes.
paper or something and be like, this is what it's going to cost.
Without getting too involved in it,
sure.
but there's different types of costs awards. So that's why I said in high court, whenever like we win in high court and we get costs, what the court gives you, they give you attorney and own client costs, which means whatever you are supposed to pay your attorney, the losing party must pay.
Sure.
Whatever you paid your advocate or supposed to pay your advocate, they even must pay the traveling of your attorney and advocate.
wow.
They must pay the disbursements, where the magistrate's court power is limited.
Okay.
There's a gazetted little booklet that tells you the tariff of costs. Where an attorney, let's say, for example, to draft a summons, I will charge you 5,000 rand.
Yeah.
But if you do it yourself in the magistrate's court, the tariff is like 696. That is
Sure.
the magistrate's tariff for a summons. So
Okay.
if you sue someone in the magistrate's court and you awarded costs on just a magistrate's tariff, you know, which is a party scale, that means it's the magistrate's court rules.
Right.
So if your attorney charges you 1,500, the losing party is only going to pay 695 of that.
Okay.
He's only going to pay you 7 rand per folio of copies, you know, but he'll pay you 50 rand per WhatsApp.
50 rand a WhatsApp.
Yes.
Yo.
Well, it's categorized as text message.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, who says those
Interesting.
anymore?
Yeah.
So we use it as like one screenshotted WhatsApp. So it's great when those people love to write essays. You know,
Yes,
you can
yeah.
just be like,
Here we go. 50
so,
bucks at a time.
but to give you the short answer, once you win and
Yes.
they say, you know, this matters decided upon,
Yeah.
and you know it's awarded to the plaintiff with costs, costs on party, costs on attorney client, or costs on attorney own client, which means own client means exactly what you're going to pay your lawyer.
Sure. Yeah.
Attorney client, some things are excluded. Party, basically everything's excluded, and you
Yeah.
only can charge what's on the gazetted paper.
Yeah.
And then what you do, which like I normally do as the losing party, I'll be like, okay, let's go and get this text. So you, Mr. Winner, you must write a long invoice of every single thing you did.
Sure.
And I want to see, and you can ask for proof. They give you time. They're like, you can come and inspect, you know, so you can drag this out forever. Or, you know, if you're the loser, like in evictions, because normally nobody has money. After you've won, it moves to the taxation part. That's like the legal cost division of the court.
Yeah.
And they then deal with that. And you submit your invoices. They can go through it line by line and be like, okay, you sent an email on the 26th of June. Where's that email? Here it is. And you have
Oh
to
my
number
gosh.
the pages.
It's a bunch of auditors.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what we do. And you can get a lot of money back. So
Sure.
let's say, you know, that client of mine didn't have the money. And I was like, you know what? I believe in your case. You just need to pay the disbursements then, which is a lot of the times you can enter into an agreement with your client like
Yeah.
that. And say, my fees can wait, but you have to at least cover the disbursements.
Yeah.
And then they will cover the disbursements like sheriffs, copying, phone, traveling, blah, blah, blah. And then once we win, I will do, because I obviously keep a massive file of every single, like phone
Yes.
call, like I've posted like that everywhere, you know, of exactly what I've done.
Right.
And then those post-its need to become like an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah.
but on Word, because lawyers are
Yes.
Word people. We're not Excel people.
No, man. Come on.
We are Word people. So I do that in
No.
Word with the inserts, like grid.
I can
How
show
many?
you how to do this
Many have
in
tried.
Excel.
Please, it's like trying to teach you how to lung item.
No.
Trust me. Many have tried and failed.
Yeah, no, I failed the lung arm thing as well. I'm a Soti.com, so
yeah,
I'm like,
me
no,
as
that's
well.
me.
So
Yeah. Okay, fair.
you are awarded costs, and
Yes.
you know what? You actually, that eviction I was telling you about, we were awarded
Yeah.
costs, and I mean, my client was in arrears with a lot of months,
Mm,
and we won
yeah,
on a technicality,
yeah.
and we were awarded costs,
Mm.
and they were so sour about it. They were like, "You need to make a list, and we're going to go for taxation," and rah, 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 rah.
You're like,
And
yeah,
my
cool.
clients at that
Here we
stage
go.
had only paid for appearances because they did not have money.
Yeah.
So when they paid those legal fees, they didn't actually pay it because we were so in
Sure.
arrears with rental. We were like, I could keep it, set it off, but they do have to pay.
Yeah.
And that court order is effective. A court order is a judgment, and it has to be satisfied within 10 days.
Right. Yes, yeah, that's the same as like CCMA and all
Yes.
that. They've also got,
Yes,
you've got.
you have to give them notice.
Yes, yeah, it's got a certain amount of days. or
Otherwise,
whatever.
in lieu of telling them about it, they just automatically somehow assume to have knowledge 10 days after it's granted.
Amazing how that happens.
Amazing how that happens. I know.
Never heard of this. Day
Exactly.
9.5. Okay, pay
So a lot of people, underestimate the power of having a lawyer from the beginning.
Sure.
And they wait until the cuck is so deep, and then it actually just ends up
Yeah.
costing more.
So the moral of the story is make friends with lawyers
Yes.
that will help you and then get the costs afterwards. Okay,
Exactly.
cool. Right.
Yes.
If you've learned anything today, that's the thing. Okay, let's do another one.
Okay.
We've an hour and 13 minutes. It's fantastic.
Oh,
this
sorry,
was going to take
Get
a
me
while, but
yakking
it
on.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay, this will be maybe a quicker one.
Okay.
Frikkie, and this is something that happens in South Africa that I've seen at least all the time.
Oh, gosh.
Okay. So, young Frikkie, he's an oak. I want to do a different person.
Okay.
No, I want to do a different person. It's Susanna.
Oh,
Susanna,
jeez.
right? And Susanna is a middle-aged lady, and her parents back in the day got a house, all right? And through a couple of marriages and divorces and things, names changed, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
Dad owned the house. Dad dies. Mom, technically, inherits the house. No will. All right. Mom gets
Were they
remarried. Married in community of property.
Okay.
Yeah, no issues there. Mom gets remarried. Cool. Nothing happens because no transfer of the house happens.
But did mom get remarried in community of property?
Got remarried. I don't know.
Okay.
But good question, I suppose.
Okay.
Um,
Because then the registration is not an issue.
Sure. That new husband died. Granny is chilling like a villain, in her posy,
Yeah,
because the
loving it.
house is there. They've paid all their rates and
Yes.
taxes. The taxes come to whatever, but it's still in the name of original
Yeah,
grandpa.
estate late.
Yes, estate late. How the heck do they get that damned house out of estate late into grandma's name so that she can now
Okay.
bequeath it off to Susanna, who is now chilling and looking after her mom, and mom's like, okay, cool, this house needs to become yours because I'm old and I'm going to die soon.
Yes.
Blah, blah,
Let's do it
blah,
now.
blah, blah. Let's get it sorted out before I die, before grandma dies, and it becomes a bigger bowl of
Yes.
spaghetti.
So first of all, do you have a municipal valuation on this house? Does Susanna have an estimation?
Yeah. That's easy. If not, it's easy to get. Yeah.
Great. So starting place is the All Dreadful Master of the High Court of Cape Town.
Mm-hmm.
If the estate was not lodged, which I don't think it was because it still says estate late. So the first thing you have to do is lodge the estate with the Master of the High Court. If it's in the Western Cape,
Yes.
Master of the High
Yeah.
Court, Master of the High Court, Cape Town. So
This is
there's a
totally
letter.
fictitious.
Of course.
I don't know these people.
Me neither. I wish I knew a Susanna because that sounds like a Hop Joanna song I'd like to sing.
Fair.
But anyway, that would be the starting point.
Yeah.
As you said, the initial deceased person who had the house in his name, estate late, whatever. We'll just call him Pete for now.
Yes.
Estate late Pete was never dealt with.
Sure.
It's just hanging. And the master doesn't want that. You actually need to lodge a deceased estate within 30 days.
Yeah, this is maybe 30 years.
Ha! The master's just going to love
Yes.
estate late Pete
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, you said estate late Pete didn't have a will.
No.
So you literally, there are on the master's website, the Department of Justice, you can do this yourself. But again, it's easier to do it through an attorney.
Sure.
If you do it yourself, it'll take like 6 months. If you do it through an attorney, 30 days. Yeah, it can take like 3 months then. So then what you do, you lodge the estate with the master. I'm not going to give you all the steps in between.
Sure. No.
But it's not that difficult. You just write them a letter saying estate late so-and-so, ID number this, attach his ID. In the letter say there was no will, but he has marriage certificate between him and his wife. Has his death certificate, the oak pegged, he has proof. Burial order, they want that. I don't know why. I figured out that that's a thing.
What's a burial order?
I don't know, it's like a piece of paper that says burial order.
Oh, as in he was buried
actual,
or
yeah,
weird.
like somebody signs this white piece of paper that says burial order.
Okay.
That's one. The master wants that for some reason.
Sure.
I've never had to deal with a dead person.
Put in the ground.
So
Yeah. No,
that
that's
he didn't
proof.
come back to life.
Yeah.
So there's a whole list. You take that stuff, all the originals, to the master of Cape Town in the Manda Martin building. I know it. Like I've spent so many long days there. Castle Street. I know it well. I've even had an accident there waiting.
Lovely.
Anyway, go there to the master. Lodge the estate. Once it's lodged, they will give the surviving spouse a letter of executorship. Now, I'm only going to deal with executorship now because administration, which is a section like 15.3 or something, that's if the estate is under 250,000. Then there's different rules that apply. So, I mean, I'm assuming the house is more than 250,000.
Yeah, look, it's not an expensive house, but it's more than 250,000.
Okay, well, thank God, because it's an easier process. They say you can do the other one at magistrates, but you actually can't.
Oh, okay.
Magistrates' courts will just shunt you around and just go to the master. So once you get this letter of executorship in the name of estate late Pete's wife, because they were married in community of property.
Yes.
Everything that was his is now bequeathed to her. But then there's a little bit of an issue because what happens also is if there are dependents, if there are children, sometimes the master will want that to be split. Everybody gets an equal share. But in this case, we can make a good case that the whole reason why we're doing this is for it to ultimately end up with the one daughter.
Yes.
Is it only one daughter?
No, there are
a couple.
Yeah,
but she's
there are
bequeathing
some.
it to
She's
the one
bequeathing
daughter.
it to one daughter.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could just make a case that we want it to go into the surviving spouse's name. She's the, the sole heir. That was, common law. That's what we want to do.
Yeah.
How we want to do it. Master will come back to you and say, no, get fucked. Sorry.
That's all right.
Master will say, no.
Clean Cut Scully, I think, dropped like 78
I was watching that with my
F-bombs
mom.
and a few other choice words.
I know, when I heard the
missed the C
one.
word, yeah. I got the P and I missed the C.
I missed the P and I got the C. when I heard the C, I looked at my mom and she didn't pick it up. She only heard like all the F-bombs.
It was so quick.
It was, hey? I was like,
so quick. You're watching the podcast with your mom. That's hilarious.
I know. She was watching Jono's with me because she's known John. Jono even tattooed my mom.
Oh, cool.
Anyway,
yes.
the boss will come back and say, listen, I love it that you want to leave it to your one daughter and you hate your other children, but bad luck. When somebody dies without a will, it's intestate succession.
Okay.
And the way that happens is that the wife gets a child's share. So that house will be left to all the children and the wife as well. The percentages will vary.
Sure.
So whatever, accept it. It's the law. You have to take it. That will then get done. And you need to go through a conveyancer. You then need to do that, write that out. It's called an inventory. And then the master will say, okay, we accept it that he had no other property, his personal belongings. Nobody cares, whatever. We're just dealing with the house. There's no policies, blah, blah, blah. They go to a conveyancer. Listen, this is the value of the property. You need to, as per the master's office, transfer it into these people's names, Then they will do that. Obviously, there's a fee.
Yes.
There's a conveyancing fee, which is a percentage of the property value. And then that will then be transferred into the surviving spouse and the children.
Okay.
Then she got remarried.
Yes.
And in community of property, we don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to say in community of property because I'm sure you would have known if they did an ANC. No old people do ANC.
No.
Except for like rich old people.
Yeah. They weren't rich old people.
Yes. Yes. So let's just say she didn't. And she was married in community of property to husband number 2. He would have then obtained 50% of her share.
Right.
So if they never did the transfer upon his estate late,
Mm.
when he died, you would also now have to declare to the master, oh, wait, Bali number
There's this
2
guy. Okay.
got a share,
Mm.
and does he have kids?
I
Does
don't
his
know.
share need to go to
Yeah,
any
yeah.
kids?
Okay.
Then his share will go to kids as well.
So ingewikkeld, eh?
I know.
But on the surface, everyone's like, "That's so easy. You're married in community property." I've heard this story. Like I'm relaying this story. I've heard it from 20 different people.
Okay.
Like it's this is a common thing that happens, like especially in your poorer communities,
Yes.
So like, I mean, and I've got a couple of friends that are kind of all going through similar kind of, or their parents or whatever are going through this
Yeah.
kind of thing, But you think, I don't know, on the surface, everyone's like, no, it's easy, man. You're married in community. Everything goes to the wife. Okay, cool. And then from the wife, it goes to the kids,
Yeah.
and not the case, huh?
Not the case.
We don't know what the law actually is.
I know. And the
I suppose
problem
that's why we
is-
need lawyers and advocates.
Yes, like we like to actually keep it quite tight-lipped.
Mm.
Otherwise we wouldn't have
for
jobs.
reasons. Yeah.
Exactly. And also
Yeah.
with like all this AI threatening like the whole legal fraternity.
I love it. I use ChatGPT to get me out of a ticket.
You know how
I
many
kid
of
you
my
not.
friends are doing the LLBs and they're like putting in 0% effort. And I think of like my
that's rude.
late nights and like highlighting my textbooks. Like the
Yeah.
whole page was highlighted. I don't even know why I bothered. And I'll see these students who like jawling all day. And
Yeah.
I'm like, you're a law student. What about case law? Why would I go and read all of that? Like, what's
You
wrong
don't
with
need to.
I'm
Yeah.
an old person. I'm like, how are you going to know it? It's like you don't need to know it.
Yeah. You just feed it into the AI.
Exactly.
And off you go.
So,
Yeah.
place to start, master's office.
Cool.
But
Fantastic.
if you are using an attorney, the master is not an actual person.
It's an office.
There's estate controllers who are amazing people. Some are amazing, some are shit, as with
Sure.
everything.
Yeah.
But there are a couple genuinely awesome people there.
Nice.
And if you write them a letter,
Mm-hmm.
they write you a letter and post it. I didn't even know we still had a postal system, but they post it.
Okay.
Somehow the guy on his bicycle gets to me. They post it.
Interesting.
They post it. So they will send you a letter back and they will tell you, we got your documents. We need this and this and this to proceed. And they have set time limits.
Okay.
So they have, that's why you saw me counting now like 30 days, 30 days, 30 days.
Mm.
Because from when you lodge an estate to when you need to get a response, like everything you gave us is shit.
Mm.
Or, okay, we have everything. This is the
Mm.
next step.
Mm.
That's 30 days, which sounds unreasonable. But for a document to get from the first to like the 6th floor takes 30 days.
No, sure. That makes sense.
And people are dying faster than they're being born. So
Yeah.
it's hectic. 30 days. That's what they give you.
Okay.
Then they get back to you. Normally, I mean, I've submitted original wills before
Mm.
because they want the original and they get back to me like, please submit original will. And I'm like,
Wow.
I did. Like you lost it.
You have it. It's in your
Yeah, I'm
tray.
like, search better. oh yes, here it is. Just like a couple of ugly choice words, like
Yes.
legalese,
Yeah.
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 Then they find it. But do it through a lawyer,
Yeah.
somebody who can assist you.
Mm.
You can do it yourself. Don't get me wrong. You can do it yourself. But, it's very, very difficult. Even
It's
just
easier with someone that
submitting
knows,
documents. Even just submitting documents to the master's office as an individual is impossible. You have to go in the front door.
Mm.
You have to wait in a line where attorneys can just like, well, I don't know if this is common knowledge or this is actually the way it works, but
They just
Attorney
breeze
A-
past.
hypothetical attorneys.
Denny Crane.
Denny
walk
Crane
through.
walks through the back door, hands it in
Yes.
through the window, signs a piece of paper to
Right.
prove he handed it in. And it says their name of law firm
Mm.
to prove you handed it in. And then you wait. And then
Amazing.
you phone up like crazy every day. I mean, on the internet, there's a list of the Master's Office Cape Town with every single person's email, office number, name, and their landline.
That's a mistake.
Huge mistake. You know how many times I start at the top and I just phone everyone
Oh,
until somebody
wow.
answers. Just keep phoning. Just keep phoning. I know like 021-808 and then the rest I,
Yeah.
see on the list.
Yeah. Wow.
And that's the way to do it. That's
Okay.
the starting point,
Nice.
is to get that house
Mm.
to the
To the
proper
master, yeah.
follow. If you can show the master as well that, okay, this person died and it's supposed to go to the mom.
Mm.
And then she had a husband and it's supposed to go there. If you can show that whole timeline,
Mm.
then the master could even assist you to just like do that one transfer.
Interesting. Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Because you could also, the mom in the meantime, is supposed to be getting a will so that this intestate doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Everybody should have a will.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, even if it's like...
Even if you only have 2 matches to rub together.
Exactly.
Have a will.
Yes. So if, she doesn't have a will, she needs to get one ASAP. But you can, by submitting her will as well as like supporting evidence, say, listen, it's going to go to
this particular
Susanna anyway. So we're going to jump everything and save everybody's time and money and just put it in her name.
Right. Okay.
The kids of the second husband who even died could even say like, yeah, no, they were only married for like 2 years. Like, we don't want like an eighth of this like house,
of a house.
Macassar. Like, leave us alone. Our dad's dead. We're depressed. Or if his estate has already been lodged, they would have maybe they didn't even consider it.
Sure.
Then we can just be like, okay, moving along swiftly now.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would definitely say you don't need to go to like top ENS in the world. There are really, really great attorneys who are doing estate matters.
Yeah.
And they do them very well. They that's what they do. That's their bread and butter. Yeah. So they have networks. They have individuals that they know that they can just be like, yo, have you got to my file yet? No, but you're like, just give me 2 more days.
Yeah.
Yo, have you got to my, okay, I'll see you Friday at the Bri, and then somehow by Friday, the letter's also just at the Bri too.
Yes. But miraculous. Yeah.
Yes. So if you have a criminal law problem, you go to a criminal law attorney because they're friends with the right people. If you want to get divorced, you go to a divorce law attorney. If you want to deal with a deceased estate.
Your network is your net worth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is how things get done.
That is so cool.
Yes.
Cheapers.
I know. Okay, I think we're going to have like a part 2.
Maybe, yeah. Okay, so young Frikkie, he's chilling there in Benoni. And, he's decided that he's going to pull his socks up and become something, make something of himself. And he's got it in his head that he wants to become an advocate. Where does he start? Is it worth doing? What's the sort of 2 minutes like overview on how he starts from where he is? Maybe Frikkie's 18 and finishing matric, and now he wants to become a lawyer or an advocate or a whatever. Yes. How does he do this? What's the quick sort of overview there?
Okay. Well, I'll definitely not dissuade him from the profession, like in any way or form. I would say go for it.
You're one of very few, huh? A lot of people, like Jono was like, yeah, don't do it, pal. Don't become a tattoo artist.
I would say go for it. It is amazing. It is worth every single, I love it. I there's nothing else I would rather do on the planet. So from matric, you need to find an institution. If you have money to go to Pretoria or Tikkies or UWC, which is the best in the Western Cape right now, I would say fraternity-wise, networking-wise, content-wise, personal opinion, not statistics, somewhere, blah, 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 UWC. Alternatively, UNISA. I studied through UNISA. Yeah. I took like 5 years, I think. I didn't even do it in the 4. I took like longer, because I'd work and earn money. So if Frikkie needs to work part-time and study part-time, go for it. UNISA is good enough.
Nice.
Get that LLB. Straight up LLB. Don't even worry about the other bullshit. LLB. Then you need to be out there looking for articles. I mean, whether it's with All Brown Sherry or volunteering or whatever, 2 years of articles. So 4 years study, 2 years articles, write all your exams, get admitted as an attorney, and work at a firm.
And off you go. So
get
5
some great
or
experience.
6 to 8 years or 6 to 7 years, and you can be there. Nice.
And I mean, everybody says it's difficult to get articles. It's difficult to get into the legal, field. There's also a lot about race and a lot about like demographic and a lot about money, the Law Society, that's
so you mean all the normal stuff across everything and everywhere is there too.
I mean, they are also putting in like minimum wages now for candidates, attorneys, blah, blah, blah. But you actually just need to roll up your sleeves and be like, you know what? These 2 years are going to suck.
Yeah.
They're like Zoomer years. Yeah. Those doctors know they're going to the sticks to save people with like MacGyver methods.
Yeah.
You're a candidate attorney. You're going to wash cars. You're going to babysit cats. You're going to clean up directors' vomits after they've had parties.
Yeah.
And you're going to be the sober tit who has to lock up at like 4 a.m.
And be back at 6.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
That is what you sign up for.
It's I'll use nice words for it. It's eating crow.
Yeah. And earning your stripes.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I did it in my industry where like I was sales and whatnot. And when you're the new guy, you're running around.
And it's so great to be the new guy, actually.
The pranks are played on you,
Yes.
and they give you the funny people to phone, and
The jobs nobody wants to do.
all the jobs no one wants to do. Or the
Yeah.
boss now wants to go dirt biking on the weekend and needs someone to help him put the
Yes.
bike in his car or on the back of his bucky. And well, sorry for you, pal.
I know.
You know, you're the guy.
Well, that's
so
what I
you got to
said
eat crow
when
for a while.
I got admitted. I said to my then principal, I was like, "Oh, Fred, I'm so bummed now because I can't blame everything on you." I used to go to the clerks and be like, "I'm so sorry, like I'm gonna get fired. You know, Fred Van der Veer stays in. He's my principal. Like he said, if I don't get this done today, I might as well not even come back to the office. Like
I can't do that.
I
Help
like,
me.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm a single mom. Like I honey, like please, you're holding up the line. Like just go. You know, then I got admitted and I was like, damn, now I'm like the attorney who signs the paper. I can't blame it on the boss or the MD. Like I'm the person now.
Mm-hmm.
So like just enjoy being the skivvy.
Nice.
You know, earn your stripes.
Mhm.
Make that coffee and make the best damn coffee you've ever made.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So Frick, you should do it.
Nice. Okay, cool. Here's a question we pop at the end of the podcast for everybody.
Yeah.
What does growing a pair mean to you?
Growing a pair to me means you know where you want to be and you will do anything to get there. You're willing to do all the nasty, funny, hard work to get there. You know? That's what it means to me. It's just like growing a pair.
Nice. I like it.
You know, being willing to do whatever you need to do
Mm.
to get to where you need to be. Whether that is working 3 jobs, whether that is, you know, being nice to people you hate, doing a job you hate because you just want to get through these articles and be an admitted attorney.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you need to do to get to where you want to be.
Nice.
That is growing a pair.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You at the moment are doing property
Yes.
law?
I actually am in corporate now. I left litigation a while ago.
Okay. All right. So where do you source your clients from? Because I'm like, if someone's watching here and they're like, hey, I've got a property issue. I need help. Is that you
I
can't help them
wish
because you're
I
now
can't-
working for a company?
Yes.
Okay,
And it's
cool.
a French company. I feel like such a
Ew.
traitor as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So it's a French company and I work with properties throughout Africa, Mauritius, Europe.
Oh, nice.
Like
Like
in South Africa as well.
Yeah.
In Cape Town and Pretoria and Durban.
Mm.
But yeah, I am exclusively theirs.
There's
now.
and you work for them.
They
okay,
just
cool.
use and abuse me and I love it. I absolutely love it.
That's
They
awesome.
all work European times. They're all on
Yes.
holiday now for 3 months. Nobody's available. So
Tough
pretty
life.
much, yeah.
Mm.
I mean, we just left to take care of business.
Nice. Okay.
It's wonderful.
Geez, so you just came here to help me out and be on the podcast and give information, and we can't help you by bringing you clients. It's like that's cool though.
Yeah.
I like it.
But yeah, as I said, I mean, I was in litigation for 9 years.
Yeah.
And they were the best years of my life.
Fantastic.
Absolute
Dig
best.
it.
Like becoming a mom
Mm.
was the turning point. I was like, okay, I can't go to Philippi and represent
Yeah.
like rapists anymore.
Mm.
Unfortunately, as much as I loved it.
Mm.
Because I don't want to get killed.
Yeah.
You know, I have a child now.
Mm.
It like does something to your brain and it also like makes you grow conscience.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Yeah. It changes you.
You know,
for
it
sure.
changes
Yeah.
you. Nobody tells you that. It changes you. So, I mean, my child's 2.5 now.
Mhm.
And I've been in my new position for a year. So it definitely changes you.
Yeah.
Just, you know, you can't let so many things slide anymore because you keep on thinking like, what if it's my child?
Yeah.
What if it was my child? Where before I was like, my client didn't rape your daughter. She's a little liar.
Mm.
She's lying. Where's
That's
the
a tough
proof?
one, eh?
Now
Yeah.
I'm like,
Doesn't matter about the proof.
exactly. Like I'm just such a baby.
Yeah.
It made
yeah.
me so weak.
Yeah.
You know, where usually you think motherhood would make you strong. It made me
Mhm.
so weak.
Yeah. I
So-
think what's your opinion then? We'll kind of end with this one, but you go there and like, okay, cool. There's this guy who's been accused, or this lady, because apparently that's a thing now. Like all of a sudden the stats are coming out and the ladies are abusing like as much, if not more than men.
I can believe it.
And like whenever you kind of like talk about it, all the ladies go, no, but the numbers are out there.
I
It's
know.
scary.
It is.
And now everyone deserves some kind of representation. We
Yes.
can't sort of kind of deny it.
Yeah.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Whether they're innocent or guilty, it's fair that they have somebody to at least guide them through and fight for their position.
I mean, that's what I used to tell myself to make myself sleep at night.
No, sure. And I think it's fair. I mean, irrespective of the crime, you can't navigate yourself through the legal system.
Yeah. I mean, they still have to pay, whether they're guilty or innocent. So
and like that's fair. But I suppose, like, how did you get yourself through it? Because that's a tough one. I mean, you don't actually know necessarily when you go and meet your client.
Yeah.
You meet, young frikkie who, whatever, has been accused of whatever it is.
Yes.
You walk in there, he's like, bro, I didn't do it. Yeah. They're lying. You've got to take his word, kind of.
Yes.
And even if he is guilty, your job, you're bound, to act on that person's behalf.
Yes, on his instructions.
Yeah.
And that's the key. And my family asked me all the time, or used to ask me, like, and I just told them, I never ask them if they did it. I'm not the prosecutor.
Because you don't need to know. Yeah.
I don't want to know. It's not my job to prove whether my client did it or not.
Sure.
The prosecutor has evidence. And I go to my clients and I'm like, bro, I had a real case where I was like, dude, you're being charged with the sexual assault of a minor. Yeah. And this is like a normal looking bloke. Like normal, like you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, like, how did you get yourself into this position? He's like, Chanelle, I swear. And I'm like, don't be swearing nothing. I'm like, just tell me the scenario.
Sure, yeah.
So he told me the scenario. And I was like, oh, okay. I see here.
I get it, yeah.
I could work with this.
And off you go.
And off we go. I don't want to know.
Sure.
If the prosecution can prove, if they give a more viable, beyond reasonable doubt. Remember, criminal law,
yes,
the burden of proof is beyond reasonable doubt. So there has to be no other probable scenario. And unfortunately, in sexual offense cases, there's like multiple
5 million, yes.
Exactly. And there's hardly ever any evidence. Even if there's DNA evidence, you still never get the full. Well, there's been recent case law on defining the elements of consent. So that's not going to go into now.
Yeah.
We have another 3 hours. But I never asked them. It's for the state to prove it.
Yeah.
And whatever the state says, I'm going to be like, actually, no.
You do your best to refute it, and that's your job.
I'm like, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. And luckily, in my 3 cases of sexual assault, rape, and attempted rape, it was actually extortion.
Wow.
Like it was like an ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, like baby mama. He started dating a friend, blah, blah, blah. She opened a rape case. She was underage. So it was even statutory rape, sexual assault of a minor. And I just vehemently listen to my client and put his version to the court. That is what I get paid to do. I will not lie. I will not fabricate things.
For sure. Yeah.
And if it's absurd, I'll tell him you're a fucking idiot. Never speak to me again. I will speak on your behalf from now on.
Yes, but when we're done, we're done.
Yeah, never call me again, delete my number. But I will tell the court.
Yeah.
And I will cross-examine that 14-year-old girl until she breaks and tells the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if she doesn't, well, I tried. Sorry, bro. Enjoy your life.
No, my dad always used to say the truth will out.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got 2 capable people fighting on behalf of whatever the state and whoever the person is, if you've got 2 capable people, the truth then should and doesn't always, but should come out.
And people should also remember, legal aid is not only there for criminal matters.
Yeah.
Legal aid is also for civil, and their Bible office does an amazing job. They have a huge civil division. They fight divorces, they do evictions, they help with claims as well.
Yeah.
So, if you don't earn enough and you do qualify, it's a really shitty in-between qualification.
Yes.
It's too rich for legal aid, but you're too poor for an attorney. What do you do? Just give up.
Would legal aid be able to help out with, the case I had with my car?
Yes.
Would they be able to help out with, the housing thing that we spoke about?
I don't think they'll be able to help out with the housing thing.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if legal aid has a deceased estate division.
Right.
You could find out.
You could find out, yeah.
You could definitely find out. Cool. especially if the people who, are wanting to bring that instruction, the spouse, she will bring the instruction. If she's a pensioner now, or not earning a lot, brilliant. Legal aid she will definitely qualify.
Yeah.
And their civil team will help her.
Okay.
Obviously, when it comes time to the transfer duty, she'll have to pay.
That's a different
but
story.
legal aid can at least push it through for her.
Okay.
I would definitely say that's a good place to also
interesting.
start.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Well, thank you,
you for
Chanelle,
having
so
me.
much. I appreciate it. This has been great. We'll get you on again sometime and
Yeah.
we'll dive into, I don't know, something more
Something else.
specific and
Yes.
do an hour of that. I mean, we
Yes.
spoke nonsense for like 20 minutes
We did,
first and
eh?
then, dove into this. It was fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
and for
me.
coming out to deepest, darkest Belleville.
I love Belleville. It's
Yeah,
nice. My
I
hood.
dig it. That's great. Cool.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.